judge, jury, and above all else, executioner. My name's JR, and welcome to Warframe, Built to Destroy. Hey, what's up, pups? Before we get into this video, as always, there's a few things I need to get out of the way. I had actually planned to make this episode on a different melee weapon, the very same that I accidentally almost leaked in my most recent commentary video about my possible future as a Warframe content creator. However, I am yet to fully build that melee, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to push that back to the next season. But don't worry, Season 3 is no way going to be as far away as Season 2 was from Season 1. Either way, with that taken care of, let's get into it. So far, this season has been heavily based off of weapons that I personally love in real life. However, the melee is going to be a bit different. It's not to say that I don't like the type of weapon I'm going to be revealing to you shortly, it's more the fact that I could most likely never wield one in real life. If you count out things like gun blades or glaives and leave in the more realistic melee weapons, you can probably tell that I'm talking about the more hefty melee weapons. In this specific instance, battle axes. At this point, a lot of you can probably guess where this is going, seeing as how there is currently only 2 battle axes in Warframe, one of them being primarily made of fire. This weapon seemed like a good idea to build for the show, seeing as how it is available to everyone with a Twitch Prime account. And if that didn't tell you word for word what this weapon is, I do not know what will. You all guessed it, here it is, Sindhu Prime, or as I call it, Black Betty. Sindhu Prime is a 10-0 battle axe used as an executioner's axe for the Orokin's most respected enemies. Black Betty, however, is a 10-0 greatsword that looks like something straight out of an anime. For convenience purposes, I'll refer to Sindhu Prime in general as its original name, but when I'm talking about my Sindhu, I'll be calling it Black Betty. Sindhu Prime comes with 130 base damage, favoring slash damage. However, much like Fragger Prime, due to Sindhu's sheer mass, every time it hits the ground while attacking, it hits any nearby enemies with a guaranteed impact proc. Of course, if you simply use your slam attack, it's just gonna knock everyone down, so it only works if you are attacking normally and you end up slamming the ground in one of your stance mod's attacks. For this reason, I personally do not use the stance mod Tempo Royale on Black Betty, because you rarely end up hitting the ground in your normal attacks with said stance, and I instead use Rending Crane. Anyway, other stats. Sindhu Prime also has a 25% crit chance coupled with a 2x crit multiplier, making it a crit weapon, much like all the other heavy melees. It does have a 15% status chance, but unless you are using Tempo Royale and /or Berserker, you aren't really hitting people enough to worry about procs. If you do want your Sindhu to proc along with crit, I advise making it viral damage, so you reduce the target's health, when you manage to proc him of course. Most people recommend using Berserker on heavy weapons to compensate for the usual lack of speed, much like Sindhu having a 0.967 attack speed, but I skipped Berserker on Black Betty because, well, you just shouldn't be able to swing an axe as big as that fast. It just feels wrong. So instead, I just tacked on an elemental mod for a bit more damage to compensate. Anyway, here's a little backstory for you. I wanted a new heavy weapon because I had grown tired of using Graham whenever I wanted to use a heavy weapon, and I didn't use War because, well, I've said I'm an off-meta player and I plan on sticking to that. I was thinking about making Galatine Prime, but with the recent-ish implementation of Free Prime with Prime bringing Sindhu back into action, I decided to go with it instead, getting the Riven mod Sindhu Siata soon after. Sindhu Siata adds 155.6% melee damage and 120.3% slash damage, very good for a slash heavy weapon like Sindhu. And before you ask, no, I do not have Twitch Prime. I farmed every last part of Sindhu because I only spend money on things that matter. Cosmetics. However, if you are a new player who wants a big-ass battle axe and has a bit of money to burn, or you already have Twitch Prime, you can get Sindhu Prime, Soma Prime, and Frost Prime, all just by linking your Warframe account to your Twitch account. All of which I farmed back in the days of void keys, but I'm not mad about everyone being able to get all these weapons for essentially nothing when I worked my ass off for them back when the only things in the Prime Vault were Excalibur Prime, Lotto Prime, and Skana Prime. No, totally not mad at all. Anyway, let's see what makes Black Betty tick, eh? I built Black Betty for full crit with only one elemental mod. Take note that my primed Fever Strike is not maxed out quite yet, but the total damage and DPS stats I will be showing you near the end of the video are if every mod was maxed out. With my 4-forma build, I have primed Pressure Point, primed Fever Strike, Blood Rush, Body Count, True Steel, Organ Shatter, and Sindociata to increase my overall damage and crit ability. And finally, primed Fury to increase Black Betty's speed from a 0.967 to a 1.50. Fast, but not too fast. With these mods and my Riven specifically, Black Betty, at a reasonable 2.5 times melee combo, gets up to 27,613.13 total damage and 41,392.08 DPS, which is pretty cool seeing as how melee weapons typically have a lower DPS than primary and secondary weapons. However, if you build Sindu without a Riven, I would recommend putting on either Berserker to increase your speed, and thusly your DPS, or a dual status mod to get a bit more damage and bring up your Sindu's status chance to a reasonable 24%. In my theoretical non-Riven build, I went with Vicious Frost to make Black Betty viral damage, for the reason I gave earlier on in the video. With said non-Riven build, Sindu gets up to a 15,652.36 total damage and a 23,462.86 DPS at a 2.5 times melee combo. Anyway, let's see what Black Betty's Riven build can really do. That's going to wrap up this episode of Built to Destroy. If you enjoyed this video, consider dropping it a like, and make sure to hit that subscribe button to become a pup if you haven't already. My name's JR, and I'll see you guys in the next one.